fight on. It's time for Versus.
Beauty, thank you, Mick. In this instalment of Versus, we're going to compare two of the most iconic video game franchises of all time. Now, you might think it's going to be Mario and Sonic, which that's a cool comparison, right?
But you would be wrong.
You would be wrong. They're great characters, and we think that they're rad, but that is something that's been done probably a million times
That's not
over.
where we're going.
This may have been done before as well, but we want to go do something a little more violent.
A little more violent.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
We're the cool kids.
We are.
So we've gone for Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat. So we have Street Fighter and Mortal
And
Kombat.
of course, the mighty Mortal Kombat. So let's get ready to rumble here. Let's pit Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter, and let's see who comes out on top.
All right, I'm going to summarize Street Fighter, and specifically Street Fighter 2, which is the main Street Fighter home console game that we had as kids and we played. So Street Fighter 2 was released in February 1991. It's called Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior, but it was released initially in arcades by Capcom. I remember playing it at my local football club, rugby league club. I used to play Street Fighter The World Warrior all the time. The very first scene, the very first thing you see is you just see two dudes and one just punches one dude right in the face. And as a child... That's fucking rad.
Yeah.
Like, you're in on that all the way because you think, yeah, man.
Here's my $2. I'm in.
So you're paying it. But then in July 1992, the Super Nintendo port was released, and that made it a home console job. Everyone loved that. 92 to 94, it released a bunch of different Street Fighter spin-offs. There was the Champion Edition, Hyper Fighting, Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, that's Super Street.
Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah. What was the difference? I didn't know what the difference was.
They had different colour schemes and a few different characters, but overall, kind of the same premise because it was so good, right? Earnings and commercial success now generated over $10 billion in revenue.
Oh, yeah.
That's been adjusted by Slick Mick for inflation, just so you know. And that includes the arcade and the home console games. It became one of the highest grossing video games of all time. No shit, Sherlock. Of course it did. The SNES version alone sold 6 million units, making it one of the system's top sellers. No doubt. There are some great characters, very memorable characters.
There were some very memorable characters.
Ryu, or Ryu,
yeah.
or Ru.
Ru.
Depends on how you want to pronounce it and depends on which part of the world you're from. Huru. He was a Japanese karate fighter. He's the main character, right? Ken is his American rival and friend. They're like brothers, but not brothers. I don't know. There's a story. Chun-Li, Chinese martial artist. She kicked fuck out of you, basically. She was the first prominent female in gaming, or fighting games. Oh, that's true. That's true. Guile, he's a US Air Force officer seeking revenge, and he had a red-hot haircut, that big blonde.
Red hot.
And he'd comb it.
Red hot, yeah.
Yeah, cool. E. Honda, sumo wrestler from Japan.
He was pretty mad.
Yeah, he was pretty mad. Blanca, a fucking monster from Brazil.
And he's electric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. If you know the backstory,
I think he
listeners,
fell in the same pot as the Joker when he turned. I think that's what happened. Yeah.
is that a thing? Is it?
Yeah. I think that's what happened.
I thought he got bitten by a radioactive mosquito. Anyway, Zangief, Russian pro wrestler. That's cool. He does some pretty cool moves, suplexes and all that sort of shit. Dal Sim, yoga master from India.
He was the yoga
He was
master.
frustrating to fight.
He was.
Just because he's stretchy.
Yeah.
Yoga flame.
Double fist
And then you had some cool bosses. There were 4 bosses. There was Balrog, who was a boxer. Basically Mike Tyson. Same thing. Right, same thing. He even looked like Mike Tyson.
He did, yeah.
Vega, a Spanish cage-fighting ninja.
He was pretty cool.
Oh, he was hard.
He was hard to beat.
He was hard to beat.
Had the metal claw, a bit like Wolverine, almost.
Bit like Baron Dark.
Yeah.
That's the throwback. Sagat, or Sagat,
Sagat.
or Sagat. There's so many ways you can pronounce it. Muay Thai master. He was from Thailand, and he would kick the piss out of you.
He would.
He was actually one of the only characters from Street Fighter 1. Yes, there is a Street Fighter 1. I'm not going to go into that with you now. That's something you probably need to Google. And the big bad guy, M. Bison, right? He's the main villain. He's a dictator from an evil organization, and it's called Shadaloo.
Ah, Shadaloo.
You didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Now, there's a cultural impact of Street Fighter. It revolutionised the fighting game genre and introduced combo systems, so multiple punches. And I tell you what, that has been a big thing in games ever since the combo thing, right? Yeah. Distinctive characters from different parts of the world, so it had this like international feel about it.
Yeah, really.
It was really competitive. It spurred on the fighting game boom of the 90s, and damn, it was a boom. And it inspired titles like Tekken, King of Fighters, Killer Instinct ultimately, Fatal Fury, Virtual Fighter, there's heaps of them, and also its competition in today's versus Mortal Kombat. It popularised arcade gaming as well, because, I don't know about you, but I remember spending shitloads of money playing different versions of Street Fighter in the arcade. I actually really enjoyed it. I was never very good at it.
No, everywhere you went, there was a version of it somewhere, though.
Well, I was like, X-Men versus Street Fighter. We're back to X-Men, sorry. It spawned a bunch of spin-offs. There's so much merch. There's anime. There's entire animes about it. And my favourite spin-off is the film. 1994's Street Fighter, a campy action film directed by Stephen E. D'Souza, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile. He didn't have the hair, though.
He didn't know.
And Raul Julia, in his last role, unfortunately, he passed away. He was M. Bison. It was critically pissed on.
It was
no
terrible.
one liked it. I liked it. I thought it was cool. Kylie Minogue was in it as well. There's an Australian link for everybody, right? It earned 99 million worldwide. That could be wrong, Mick. It could be $99, not $99 million. So. It became a cult favourite for some people. And again, I said Raul Julia's last performance. He had some cool lines in it. It is the only movie I can think of where there was a video game that got turned into a movie that then got turned into a video game. There is a Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Is that right? Yeah, okay.
Doesn't that? Isn't that's like some Inception shit?
That blows my mind. Yeah,
that's Inception stuff.
It does. That blows my mind.
Anyway, that was the summary for Street Fighter. Just brilliant. And what are we pitting it against? Mortal Kombat, far away.
Another absolute banger from the 90s.
Banger.
Another banger. So following on from Sean there, I'm just going to touch on the Mortal Kombat. So key release date. So the arcade release occurred on October 8th in 1992.
Right.
The home consoles, I mean, it was on everything. It even hit the Genesis, the Game Boy, Game Gear. Mortal Kombat was on every console you could imagine. It was in every arcade. It was like Street Fighter. It was absolutely everywhere.
Like genuinely huge.
Yeah. Yep. Earnings and commercial success. So arcade revenue alone was over $300 million by 1993. So this was 1 year later. So it made over $300 million 1 year later.
Could have been some congressional hearings that had an impact on that.
They might have maybe tailored off some, or gone the other way. We'll see.
Could have gone the other way.
Could have gone the other way. Home version sales, 6 million copies across the alternative platforms, as we mentioned. And it really helped Midway become a major player in the industry and launched a $1 billion franchise. $1 billion franchise, Mortal Kombat. So, I mean, it's still going now. What's that, 30 years later?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 74.
Yeah, yeah. So, some key notes here and some original characters from that game.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
So, everyone knows these. Liu Kang.
Yeah.
Martial artist, inspired by Bruce Lee.
You don't say!
It was very, very similar. He looked similar, sounded similar. Liu Kang.
But that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? Because Bruce Lee is pretty cool.
He was pretty cool.
He was amazing.
Johnny Cage was the Hollywood action star. Sonya Blade, the specialist force agent. Again, she was really like the answer to who was the
Chun Li.
To Kung Li, yeah. Raiden, of course, the Thunder God.
Yeah, he was cool.
He was a cool character. And then my personal favourite was Scorpion, the undead ninja, famous for "Get over here!" Yeah,
I said that to my kids.
And burning people's head and burning people with his fatality.
I didn't do that to my kids.
Sub-Zero, which of course was the ice welding ninja. He was Scorpion's rival. So Scorpion being the fire ninja and Sub-Zero being the ice ninja.
Makes sense.
Kano, the mercenary, and Black Dragon.
No one played with Kano much, did they?
No. And the bosses. Remember Goro, the big four-armed monster that you'd want to... He was like the sub-boss. And then Shang Tzu at the end, the evil sorcerer. He was the final boss.
But Goro was so much cooler than Shang Tsung. Like, Goro was like a monster, whereas Shang Tsung was like just a dude.
Just a dude. The evil sorcerer would suck his
he was evil, but...
Yeah, but he wasn't as badass as Goro. No, Goro looked cool.
And everyone remembers Goro.
Yeah, the stomp thing, he used to fly through the roof and stomp you into the ground.
Oh, that's right.
Destroyer. So cultural impact. What was the cultural impact of this game? It was pretty big back in the day. So remembering this is back in the early 90s. So it was known for its realistic and digitized graphics, so the blood and gore. And the fatalities. Fatalities were a huge part of this game. So each character had a special ending in which they'd, in some way, defeat their opponent through some gory death.
Yeah.
So it sparked major controversy due to this violent content, especially compared to the Street Fighter 2 game. So it was like the adult version versus the childish version. Let's just say. It also directly led to the US congressional hearing on video game violence in 1993. One of the main reasons for the ESRB rating system was created in 1994 as a result of this game. It became a multimedia franchise with films, TV shows, and comics, and dozens of game sequels. So much like the Street Fighter game, it launched movies and a whole range of games and spin-offs.
Yeah.
Now jumping into the movie, so it wasn't much better than the Street Fighter movie, unfortunately. So that was released in 1995, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and grossed over 122 million worldwide.
So more than Street Fighter.
It did, but this was later, right? Yeah, it was later.
Only a year later.
But I mean,
still later, yeah.
It had set the path, right? So that's, I'm thinking maybe
They
Street Fighter laid the
fixed
foundation.
up the problems.
Well, yeah, whether they did or not.
They didn't put Kylie Minogue in there.
No, they didn't. So Mortal Kombat, it followed Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade in the Mortal Kombat tournament to defeat Shang Tsung and save Earth. So known for its iconic soundtrack and action, the film received mixed reviews, became a cult classic and a significant video game adaptation. So I was one of those people that I didn't particularly like the movie. It kind of strayed a little bit from the game in certain areas, I thought. But overall, I loved it. Mortal Kombat was everywhere again.
All right. Well, I mean, you're clearly a Mortal Kombat fan, right?
I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan.
And it seems like I'm probably pretty clearly a Street Fighter fan. How are we going to split this? Or are we going to split this?
I don't think you can split it. They're both awesome in their own right, and they were hugely successful in their own right during that period. So
I agree. I don't dislike Mortal Kombat. Like, I think the Mortal Kombat is a fucking cracker game. It's great, but I just think that even though it was more realistic and there was more blood and gore, I think Street Fighter's impact on everything that came after it can't be understated. So I think that for me, my victory for Versus today is going to Street Fighter. I think it's Street Fighter. And
my victory, of course, is going to Mortal Kombat. So are we going to call this draw? I think we're going to have to call this a draw, right?
It's a tie, right?
It's a tie, yeah.
All right. There's no one here for a tiebreaker. Hey, if you want to be the tiebreaker, chime in on YouTube. Tell us what you think. I tell you what, it's a tough one to split. It's impossible.
It's impossible. You can't split
impossible.
it. There's no splitting it.
No, I think we're done. I think we're done with that segment. It's over. But there are a few honourable mentions, actually, Chris, that I did want to touch on. Because even though we can't split these two beasts, there is other games. We touched on Mortal Kombat, on Killer Instinct earlier, which is a great game. But I want to talk about Fatal Fury. Now, Fatal Fury was released in 91. It's a 2D fighting game in the King of Fighters universe. Not a bad game. I thought it was one of the better ones. It's sort of predates Street Fighter on the home consoles. So, Fatal Fury, if you don't know what Fatal Fury is, go and have a look at that. Google that and look it up. Tekken, do you remember Tekken?
I do, yeah. Tekken, it was a big game, but it didn't grab me in the same way as these other games did.
Tekken was a game that was, I don't know what home console Tekken was on, probably Sega Saturn.
Probably.
That's why I don't know about it.
I remember it just being arcade. Yeah, it was arcade.
It was so good in the arcade.
Yeah,
so that's another one that I think Tekken, an underrated game and a really cool one. 3D game too, so it had that mid-90s.
PlayStation, you know, yeah. I've got
You're right, it might be PlayStation. Let us know in the comments. We don't know. Virtua Fighter is the last one I wanted to mention, 93. That was a Sega game. And that was definitely on the Saturn. I know that. Because that was the only game I played with my friend.
Ah, that was it.
That was the game. Yeah. A major leap in graphics and gameplay. Definitely a good game. It was the 3D. It had some pretty memorable characters too. But
that guy,
yeah. Look,
that guy.
Again, great games, fighting games. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat though, they're the classics. They're the originals. You can't beat them, and they can't beat each other.
They can't. No, they cannot.
So,
they cannot.
All right, I'm getting hungry. Tuck shop time.
Tuck shop time.